agents that don't run enough appointments are the ones that you have time to dwell on the frustrations. And, I would label that a part-time agent. If you have time to worry about the ebbs and flows of this business, it's because you're a part-time agent. Because if you're a full-time agent and if you're running 20 or 30 appointments a week, you don't have time. You don't have time to worry about that because you have another appointment to get to. You got another appointment to get to. And then when you're not running appointments, you're spending time with your family and you're not worrying about the stuff with the business. When you're only working 2 days a week or 3 days a week, you got all the time in the world to think about the person that didn't answer the phone, the person that um, wasn't nice to you on the phone, the person that when you showed up to the house, just whatever of the negative stuff, you have time to dwell and think about it and wonder, like I've heard you state before, some people come into this business and be like, this is an answer. This is God's answer to my prayers, and then 3 months later, they're like, this is a sign from God. Like, I'm probably not supposed to do insurance anymore. It's like, really? Like, first it was a sign that you're supposed to do it, and now it's not. But, when you look at that part-time, full-time philosophy, how do you look at that now? And how would you advise an agent that is really, this is their only source of income? If we're talking about a full-time agent, their only source of income, their family, their kids, their spouse is counting on them to go out and make money to put food on the table and pay the mortgage. This is a full-time income. What if an agent doesn't want to head fake themselves? What would you advise them what they need to do to be a full-time agent and not go through those frustrations?
Anything that you want to succeed in life, I think it starts first with a desire. You look at a kid that has a desire to be an Olympic figure skater or a gymnast, or you look at a kid that wants to be they want to be a basketball player or football player. I mean, that's all they think about. That's all they obsess with. There was a song back in the day when I was growing up, and I don't even know who did the song. It was silly, but it was called Basketball Jones. This kid had a basketball Jones. He loved basketball, and he was jonesing for basketball, and he would sleep with his basketball because he had a desire to play basketball. It was kind of a funny kind of a comedy sketch song, but that was his thing, man. He obsessed about it. He had this huge desire to play basketball. And when you've got the desire to do something bad enough, you figure everything else falls into place and it figures itself out. It doesn't stop you. You overcome those hurdles. When you really want this to work for you, when you really want to make a multiple six-figure income for your family, when you really want to make it happen, it doesn't matter what kind of leads you're dialing. You just dial them. You call them, you book your appointments. It doesn't matter so much what you say, but that you're willing to go through everything. Now, listen, like any professional, you're going to get better at your craft the more you do it. And yes, we've got some videos to teach you some guidelines on how to make phone calls and how to do the presentation. But ultimately, it's because you do so many of them. So my advice to somebody is, do you really want this? Do you really want the income that this industry can provide for you? If you do, well, then get to work. If you're a part-time agent, you need to be running, excuse me. If you're a part-time agent, you need to be running about 15 appointments a week. If you're a full-time agent, you need to be closer to 30 appointments a week. You can figure it out. I mean, you got 2 days off, right? You got a couple of evenings a week. I mean, you can figure it out. If the desire is there, you absolutely can figure it out. And so I just feel that is the desire's got to come first, Andrew. And when you got the desire, it's amazing how many things figure themselves out. It's amazing when you have a singleness of purpose and you really go and get after something. It's amazing how many obstacles start to get out of your way. And a lot of times it's not so much that they get out of your way, it's that you view them a little differently. And so you don't have those challenges. So anyway,
I lost what you were saying. Are you still there?
Andrew?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Oh, I see what happened. There we go. I should have you now.
Yep, I can hear you.
I'm glad you got me, man. The internet's doing weird things today. I don't have my headset on anymore. Now I suddenly can't hear you, even though my mic's turned on.
You can't hear me now anymore?
Yeah. Let me throw my headset back in, bud. I apologize.
So with people that are out there running, they think well, let me back up for a second. To me, it's crazy. Still don't hear you.
Tom Franklin, I cannot hear Andrew Pappas at all.
Can you hear me now? So who can be here on the live stream, Tom? Because I hear you. I love the technical difficulties. So I can hear people can hear me on the live stream, so I don't know why you can't hear me. That's weird. With the kind of money that people are talking about, when you're out there running 30 appointments a week and you're a full-time agent, I mean, you're talking about making, 40, 50 grand a month in business. And that's weird. Everyone can hear both of us, but you just can't hear me. So the kind of money that can be made here is just crazy. And let me change where my mic is coming from and see if that makes it easier for you to hear me. Can you hear me now? Oh, no, you just went away. Okay. So if you're a full-time agent, you should be out there running a bare minimum of 20 appointments a week, in my opinion. If you're out there running 4 days a week, you can do 5 appointments a day. And then that'll probably take you, I know for me, I usually like to book 2 segments throughout the week for my dial session. So I'll take a couple hours twice a week, and those will book my 20 appointments. But that's like at a bare minimum that we should be at when we consider ourselves a full-time agent. And really the goal, because when you're doing anything less than 20, it's easy for you to start living in that world of frustration. If you have a week where you just have a bunch of no-shows or things happen, all of a sudden you're sitting on 12 appointments one week or something, or maybe you fall short of your 20 and you're down to 14, 15, 16 appointments. It's really easy for you to get back into that world of frustration because you're not booking enough appointments. And when we don't want to live in that world of minimums. And can you hear me now? Perfect. So when we're doing, from my personal experience, when I ran 8 to 12 appointments a week, like I made good money at the end of the month, but it was a frustrating lifestyle for me. Like every week was just frustrating because you had all the time in the world to think about all the things that happened that you didn't want to happen, and you just got all this time to think about it. 15 begins to get you like outside of that frustration, but that's like the minimum.
What's funny, Drew, is that people will do those 8 to 10 appointments, like you said, maybe even 12. And then they sit there and they stare at the ones that they weren't able to close, or the ones that no showed them, and they stare at the negative and they try to figure out ways to correct those situations. And they feel it must be a technique or it must be something about them that skill that they don't have. And in all actuality, really what it is is they didn't have enough appointments. They need to direct their attention to the thing that they need to fix. And the thing they need to fix is you need more appointments. Instead of analyzing the few appointments you had that didn't go right, you need to have more appointments. And that's where their attention needs to be. Don't beat yourself. Hey, listen, I'm just going to tell you right now, you book 8 to 12 appointments a week, probably 2 or 3 out of 4 weeks, you're going to have a week that you didn't want to have. It's not going to be the best week. I'm going to save you a lot of time and effort right now. Don't beat yourself up about it. It's not you, it's the fact that you didn't have enough presentations. That's the problem. That's where you can focus your energy and your creativity into how can I get more appointments? How can I spend more time on the phone? Do I need to have more leads? That's where you need to spend your time, energy, and effort, not analyzing how do I overcome that challenge in the house when that person said this. I'm just telling you, 9 out of 10 times you ain't gonna be able to overcome it. You're not gonna be able to overcome. So quit thinking about that. Control the things you can control. You can control how many appointments you get on your schedule.
I think that's an agent that's struggling or frustrated, or even a newer agent. It's, there's three parts to our results. One is how many leads do you get? What kind of leads? How much do you spend? Just that question. And then there's, well, how much time do I dedicate to calling on those leads? And then there's how many appointments you book. And from there, it's people fixate on the wrong parts. It's what can you control, like you just said, and I can't control of the leads that I buy who answers the phone. I can't control when people answer the phone if they're going to book an appointment or not to me. But what I can control is the end result, and that's how many appointments I book. So it's like you need to go out there and if you've never booked 20 appointments a week, that's your goal. Go out there and start booking 20 appointments a week. How many leads do you need to buy? I don't know. Start out with go get $200, go get $500, go get 800, go get 1,000. I mean, I don't know how much you need to get. But I mean, when you look at the end results, I mean, if you're consistently running 20 appointments a week, you're probably doing $30,000 to $40,000 a month. Like, so in the world of business, if you got to spend $500 or $1,000 a week to have that correlate to 30 to 40 grand in business, that's good business. I don't care what what business you're in. It's how many like anybody would take that. Like if I handed you $1,000 and you gave me back, 25 or 30 or 35, I'm pretty sure I'd be like, how many times can I do this? Right? I mean, so it's really understanding, like when we heard when we were at the leadership training, and Brian Adams was talking about, controlling the things you can control and planting the seed, and what he went through when he was first dealing with integrity and all that stuff. And I've always understood that concept, controlling what you can control, but it was really it the way he explained, at least to me, it made me understand like the full mechanics of what you're trying to do. If we're trying to sell insurance, there's things to this. You need to go buy leads. You need to set aside a time to make dials. You need to book your appointments, and then you need to go run your appointments. There's only one thing of that I can control, and that's how many appointments I book. Now, yeah, I can control how many leads I buy, but from that, I don't know how many you're going to answer the phone. I don't know how many are going to book an appointment. How much time do you spend doing dials? I don't know. I mean, start out with 4 hours, and if you get your appointments in less than 4 hours, I mean, you could stop early if you want, or go a little bit longer and see if you can get more. And if 4 is not enough, go do 6. If 6 is not enough, go do 8. If 8 is not enough, do 10. I mean, I don't like, there's not, the problem is the first 2 parts of that equation are flexible, and you need to be okay with that, because what you want is the results that 20 appointments get. You want the result, like, and then when you're a full-time agent and you're booking 30 appointments, and now we're talking about you doing $50,000 to $60,000 a month in business, like, who in their right mind, if they were at any job in the world, and if their job said, hey, our company's about to explode, I get you're making 50, 60, 80, 100 grand a year right now, If we have an opportunity for you to double, triple, quadruple your income, who wants to do that? Who wants to start making $250,000? Who wants to start making $400,000 or $500,000 a year? I'm pretty sure anybody, without like giving away your children, and some might even consider doing that, like they would do whatever it takes to go jump their income like that. And that's literally what we're talking about here. Like it's crazy, as we were talking to a couple other managers last night, or you were talking and I was listening, but as we were talking, it's just crazy to think about the numbers that we were talking about. Like you go there and you book 30 appointments a week. Like, does everybody understand you're talking about making $400,000 or $500,000 a year income? Like that's the kind of money that we're talking about when you run that type of appointments. And if you think you shouldn't have to work to go do that, like, man, you need to go do something else then. Cause I don't there's something else wrong with you that I don't know about. Cause that's there's not many people in the country that make that kind of money. There's not that many people that make over 100 grand. But when you start getting into the multiple 6-figure numbers, it's because it takes a lot of work. And a lot of people, they want to get comfortable, they want to get complacent, and they just want to, there's a difference between getting what you need and going after what you want. And so it's really, I've heard you've, shifting what you're talking about, and it's changed what I've thought about just that level of commitment that we give to our business throughout the week. Like 30 appointments a week is running, 5 days a week, 6 appointments a day. There's your 30 appointments. When should you make your dials? I don't know. Go figure it out. How many leads? I don't know. Figure it out. You can make $500,000 a year. Are you telling me you can't figure that out? If you can't figure out how many leads you should have to buy and how much time you should spend on the phone, that's pretty simple, right? Just go buy leads and make phone calls. If you didn't make enough phone calls, make more phone calls. I mean, am I missing something? Like, is it more difficult than that?
You're not missing anything. And the thing that's interesting is it really is so simple, and that's what messes people up because they think there's got to be more to it than that. They here's somebody that they feel like speaks better than them on the phone, and they think, oh, I need to learn how to do to make dials like them. And they hear people that are running different leads than what they're running, and they think that that's where the magic is. That's what the secret is. And so many people that either don't have the desire and don't put in the work ethic, they sit there to try to outthink this thing. It must be the lead type, it must be the technique, it must be something other than the amount of time and effort I put in. And that's really what it is, the time and the effort that you put in. Somebody who has the desire to make this work for them, and somebody has a desire that $250,000 income and above that you were talking about, they figure out what kind of leads to buy, and they figure out how many of them they need. And it doesn't take them long to figure it out. In 2 weeks, they got locked in on that. They figure out how to overcome objections because they're not going to stop and wait for you to teach them. They're not going to listen to 15 other people talk and teach about how to overcome that objection. They're going to get going. They're going to figure it out. They're going to say, well, that didn't work. Let me try something else. They're going to get moving. And the thing is, you can tell the people that are going to succeed because they're moving. The people that have desire, the people that want to get after, they're moving. It doesn't always come easy, but go get through 100 presentations. By the time you get through 100 presentations, you're going to have this thing figured out. You're going to be a pro. I've got a buddy that owns a hardwood flooring company. He's owned it for 20 years. He doesn't make the same mistakes now that he made 20 years ago when he started. He's a lot better, more efficient. He's figured out what works, what doesn't work. He's found shortcuts. He's figured out a lot, not by books, not by asking other people, but by getting to work, doing it. That's how he's figured it out. Trial and error. You want to become an expert in your field? Go do 100 appointments. You'll be an expert by the time you get through 100 appointments.
Well, and I think a lot of times we want success for other agents as weird as it sounds, more than they want it. And because we see people struggling or we see the path that they're going down, it's like, well, maybe they just don't realize how simple the phone calls are. So we'll do extra training on them doing their phone calls. Or maybe they don't realize how simple it is to sit down and have a conversation. Maybe we'll do extra training to let them know that. And the problem is, like, if you have to plug into 5, 10, 20, 30 things a week to tell you how simple it is, subconsciously, it's like we're telling you it's not really that simple. That's why you plug in 15 hours of training, and it's like, if it's that simple, there should be, like, watch this video that shows you how to make phone calls. If you have any problems making phone calls, go back and watch that video. Go make 10,000 dials and see how much better you are at dealing with objections, but make phone calls. Remember what people did. Somebody got a freaking letter in the mail and they said, hey, are you interested in mortgage protection? They filled it out and sent it in, or they went online and they requested a quote for life insurance, or they filled out a form saying they wanted something. They initiated the response. We're not doing cold calls. We're not opening up the phone book and saying, hey, here's your leads. Like, what do you mean these are leads? It's start calling. Like, that's what some companies do. I got an agent that he print out. Go ahead.
Anything you want in life is going to require work. Anything that you've obtained in life, any success that you've had required work, whether it was academic, whether it was athletic, no matter where it was, if you have success, it requires work. For here, it requires work. The only thing is you got to decide to discipline yourself. So you don't have a boss telling you when to show up, and you don't have a boss evaluating you and leaning over your shoulder and saying, listen, I'm paying you $100,000, make those calls. Because if they were paying you $100,000 and they came in and dropped 200 leads on your desk and said, book appointments, you'd book appointments. Why? Because that's what they're paying you to do. And even if you don't like it, you'd still keep doing it. Why? Because your boss is in the next cubicle and he's watching you. And if you don't make those phone calls, he'll find somebody else that will. He'll fire you. He'll find somebody else that will make those phone calls because that's what he's hired you for. Well, why don't we look at it that way here? Look at it like you're an employee. You don't got it out. You got to make the phone call. And you just discipline yourself to making the phone calls. I mean, hey, play whatever mind games with yourself you want to play. Go for no. How many no's can you get in one day? Reward yourself. If you can get 400 no's in a day, I don't care, because in the process of getting all those no's, you're going to get some yeses. Pretend like you're an employee and you're going to grunt through the phone calls. It doesn't matter what you got to do. Ultimately, you got to do it. You got to pick up the phone. You got to make the appointments, whether it be calling, texting, whatever, door knocking. You've got to get the appointments. And we're talking about a multiple six-figure income here. Not 50,000, not 40,000, not even 100,000. Multiple six-figure income if you go and do that. It's work. It should be very refreshing. It's work. Don't let the fact that you're self-employed and the fact that you set your own schedule, don't let that sabotage you. Some of the hardest working people I know own their own business. Why? Because the sign never says closed. They're always open. They're always thinking about doing, planning, organizing, ordering, doing something for their business. Don't shut it down just because you got a little something that distracted you. You own a business. Listen, if you need to leave your house, go make phone calls so there's no distractions, then that's what you got to do. Figure out what it is that's going to trip you up and prevent you from getting the number of appointments you need, and take care of that problem before it becomes a problem. And it should be the most refreshing thing to you to know that it just requires work. Because somewhere in your life you've succeeded before. You were good at sports, you were good at academics, you were in the band, you're great at a musical instrument. Listen, the first time you sat down to play the piano or the guitar, you weren't good at it. How did you get good? How did you become first chair flautist in the band? You know how? You practiced. What about first chair clarinet? You squeaked that reed a million times and it drove your family nuts, but you eventually got good at it. You put the work in. You put the work in here, and the rewards are going to be better than anything financially that you've ever seen. So it should be extremely refreshing that you can take what made you successful over here and you can apply it to this business and you'll be extremely successful. You got to discipline yourself, not let yourself get distracted, and quit being lazy.
And it's a lot what you always say, the people that tend to ask a lot of questions because they're having problems, it's because they're trying to go too far with too few. They think, they only need to get 5 leads and they're gonna book 5 appointments and they're gonna close all 5. Like, good luck with that. I don't know how to do that. It's just, the agents at any level, whether you're building an agency or you're just going out helping families selling insurance, like you keep saying, it's just work. And it is very refreshing because if you want to go work like the person that, there's people in this industry that make $1 million a year just selling insurance. They don't make any money off of having a big old team and overrides. And like, they make that income based on just they work their freaking butts off. Like, we all know people that go out there and work 7 days a week and they're working 12, 14, 16-hour shifts. Like, there's people out there doing that right now. And I can guarantee you most of them are not $1 million a year. But we have some agents in this industry that work a schedule like that and they make that kind of money. And it's just so, like, I talked with an agent or a potential agent the other day on an appointment. And she was about to, and she's been a hard worker. She's younger, and she's done manual labor, and then her job got her into some environmental OSHA supervisorial kind of role. And they're like, maybe you should go back to college and we'll pay you more, because then you'll be like legit for this position kind of thing. They just threw her into it. She's making like 15-20 bucks an hour right now. Decent money, without having that degree. But I was talking with her and she's like, it's going to cost her about $40,000 a semester
Mm.
to go to school. And she said, and I'm only doing 2 semesters a year. And really I should be doing like 3. And she's going to do that for 4 years. And she's gonna, maybe I'm saying those numbers wrong, because it was gonna be about $200,000 to go get her degree, however that worked out.
Wow.
And she said, but then I can make the buku bucks. Then I'll make like 30, 35 an hour. And it's like, and that's great, but it's so crazy to think that she has to go that far into debt. Like doctors, they're in debt for like 5-10 years before they start profiting, coming out ahead because of all the tuition debt and every loan debt and everything else that they have from that. And so she had her mind set on, I'm gonna go hammer down for the next 4 years, get this degree, and then I should be able to like double my income. And it's like, just from talking with her, like it was like, maybe she might be interested in being an agent. So I started talking to her, and it's like, heck, for like $250, you can get your license in like a week. I'm like, there's no reason why by July, August, you couldn't be making $10,000 a month as an agent with us. And it just completely changed everything in her world. Like, how can you do that in like 30 days from now? Because it's going to take me 4 years to go get a degree to not make that kind of money. And it's just because this is just you get paid what you're worth. And your worth is how hard of a worker are you. It's not your special skills. It's not your special talents. Yeah, you go out there and you go run yourself, 1,000, 5,000, 10,000 appointments. You'll get a little bit better at finding something in the home, and maybe you'll be able to make bigger sales. But if I can just be blunt with you, if you go run 30 appointments a week, as long as you're not a horrible, evil human being, you can't suck bad enough to not make money if you're running 30 appointments a week. You just can't. Like, when you think about the process, somebody, and it's almost like maybe we should change it and stop saying making dials, because when we say making dials, it kind of pigeonholes people to think there's only one way to contact them. And then it's like, oh my God, you text people, you door knock, you like, there's other ways to contact them. Yeah. Like, but why isn't that like shouted from the mountain? Like, you just freaking contact the lead. Like, I didn't realize like this had to be like a master class that you have to learn for 6 years, that like there's other ways to contact somebody other than just a phone call. And so it's like, you need to they sent in a request, they're a responder. We need to contact that request by any means necessary. Phone call, voicemails, carrier pigeon, email, text message, audio text messages, door knocking, whatever you need to contact that. They sent in the request, contact them, right? And then if you do that enough times, like, you'll figure it out. Like, so, like, they responded, they're interested. I mean, what do you say? I mean, hey, I got this form you sent in, and I'm the person that's supposed to help take care of this for you. They got me over in the area on Monday and Tuesday. What time of the day works best for you? It doesn't get any more harder than that. What do you say in a text message? That. What do you say in a voicemail? That. What do you say when you door knock someone, they answer the phone? That. Hey, you sent in this form. I mean, like, it's not that. Like, just like, why are you calling them? Because they sent in a request. Well, tell them that. Like, why else are you calling them? Because you're the person that's supposed to help them get that information. Tell them that. I mean, like, I don't like, there's not a secret to what we say or do. The secret is, the people that make $100,000, they just work harder than the people that only make 40 or 50. The people that make $250,000, they work more. The people that make $500,000 or $1 million, they just work more. And so it's not because this person is super talented, that's why they're going to make $500,000 and I never have that opportunity. No, I do. If you want to do it on your own pen, go run 30 appointments a week. And
You know,
then,
go ahead, buddy.
well, I was going to say, and then tell me what kind of your income is, and see how simple that was.
A lot of times in situations like this, as I think about what we're saying, it's us addressing people that aren't to get by, and we're trying to get them to understand that, what, if they just let their best shine through, they're going to be able to do extremely well. Conversely, when I think about the kind of talent that we're attracting to our company, these are people that have a work ethic. These are people that are out there working a job. They're in their 20s and early 30s. They're working a job. They're making okay money. They're maybe starting a family, but they're starting to realize that, what? I'm not going to be able to get everything I want out of this job. They start to look at their bosses and their bosses' income and lifestyle, and they're like, hey, I don't want to drive that car. Hey, I don't want to make that money. I don't want that lifestyle. I don't want that stress. I don't want that pressure. But man, I want more out of life than what this position or even my boss's position can provide. Those are the people that are coming on board and are killing it. They're hungry. They're excited. They see a way here for them to get the dreams and goals that they've always wanted, and they're applying themselves and they're killing it. Those are the people that are really making a splash. Those are the people that everybody can be like. Um, but that's the talent that we're attracting, to us, as they see a way, especially now where they can work their way all the way up to a 120 on their own pen, that they don't need anybody's permission. They can go and earn as much as they want. And they're coming from a corporate world that says it doesn't matter how hard you work, everybody makes the same at your level. How many times do you know people that went to work in a company or a factory or somewhere, and the old guy guys say to the young bucks, hey, you better slow down, young buck. You're starting to make us look bad. And what the young buck realizes is he's not going to make more money because he does twice the amount of work. Those guys, he's not going to get a promotion any faster because he works more. It's just not the way most corporations are set up to perform. And even if you do get the promotion or the raises, it's still going to be enough to get your family all they want. So those are the people that realize, you know what? They're climbing the ladder, but they got their ladder, leaned up against the wrong building. They need to move where that ladder is. They need to put that ladder up against the Equus Financial building. They need to put that ladder there and climb up as high and as fast as they can, because the rewards they're going to get for their family far outweigh anything they're going to be able to get in corporate America with a job. Those are the kind of people that we're attracting to us. That's why we're growing so fast, is because of that right there. People that are looking for an opportunity, we're in the wrong vehicle. And now when they take that work ethic and they apply it here, they race up to the top of the leaderboard.
And that's when you think, as you're saying that, it's, that is what it is for many people. You learn just innately that your job is to do the minimum to get by so you don't get fired. Like, why go above and beyond? You're not going to get any more raises. You're not going to get any more bonuses. You're not going to get any more promotions in most jobs. Some aren't that way, but in most jobs, I mean, that's how it was in other jobs I've worked. I mean, why go above and beyond? Why work harder? Like I remember, the job I had before I came over to insurance, there was one person that worked there that was just like a crazy hard worker, just would always try to do twice the amount of work of everybody else. And it's not that I didn't want to be a hard worker, but what was the incentive for me to go bust my butt and work harder when I didn't get paid anymore? I didn't get any bonuses or promotion. I got no recognition. There was nothing in it for me other than I did more work for the company and they didn't have to pay as much. Because I worked harder, there wasn't overtime that was needed. Where there was nothing. And I'm not saying that I have to be incentivized, but I mean, people do pay. What do you always say? Pay dictates.
Pay plan dictates behavior.
Exactly. I mean, so that's corporate world. Pay dictates behavior. So you do what you need so you don't get fired. And then they come into a business like this and it's like, oh, I got to run 15 appointments. That's all I need to do. Like, well, I mean, no. I mean, if you're part-time, I mean, and so it's like, so then maybe if that's the mindset for so many people coming in, then that bar, it's almost like we don't want to give numbers, because then it defines what you have to do. Like, oh, I hit my 20 appointments. It's like, but you still have 3 more hours you can make dials. Yeah, but I hit my 20. Try 25. I only got to do 20, because that's what everybody says. And it's like, so then do we just have to raise that bar so high? But then it's like, but you get paid more. You do more work, you make more money. The person that makes 15 appointments makes less than the person that makes 20. The person that makes 30 appointments makes way more money than the person that books 20. It's not like, you're an insurance agent, so it doesn't matter if you book 15 or 30, you're going to make the same amount of money. Like, we'd all probably quit if that was the case, or we'd all only run 15 appointments. You're a full-time agent, go book your 30. You've never booked 20, go book 20 this coming week, go book 22 to 25 the next week. And by the end of June, you should be at 30 appointments a week. And that's how you should be going forward the rest of the year. My hope, and what I think is awesome about this contest for the next 90 days is it's going to light a fire under a lot of people's butt, hopefully. And then they're going to make adjustments and they're going to get better results. But what I hope doesn't happen is come September, they trash that schedule and they go back to what they were doing before. It's like, if you did all that work to figure it out and make more money than you've ever been making, and you raised your contract level, why don't you just stick with it for the rest of the year? Like, you've established a routine. You've done it for 90 days. Like, do you just not, like, I don't even know the right word to say, but it's like, you just you're trying to work against yourself. You're trying to work against your momentum. You did all that work to design and create the schedule that works for your business and your family, and you hit your goals, and then come September, you're just gonna be like, done, not gonna do that anymore. Like, why? What I hope is they design that schedule and they keep it running the rest of the year.
Absolutely. Well, that's what's part of it. You're going to develop patterns and habits and routines that will be much easier for you to stick to. Um, I have a friend that works in corporate America. He works for one of the big auto companies, and they have a saying where he works, and he doesn't work on the line, but they have a saying at work that says, "No good deed goes unpunished." So with that saying, again, no good deed goes unpunished. So with that being said, nobody ever comes up with ideas. Nobody ever volunteers for anything because they know they're not going to get rewarded. They're just going to get more burden slapped on them. Those people, those people are the ones that are looking for a better way. They're looking for something that's going to reward them for the effort and energy they put in. Those are the people that are in our company. Those are the people that are making the most out of this opportunity. And then we're excited to have them because you know what, their life will financially will never be the same. Just like me and my wife's, once we saw this opportunity, we've been blessed. We're excited to be able to offer other people for it to be a blessing in their life too. But it really is up to them to make out of it what they want. And these young, ambitious um, agents that we're bringing on board that have been disillusioned by America because they finally got on the inside and they realize that what they were taught all those years of go to work, go to school, get a good education, come out and get a good job. Well, they've done that. They've gone to college, they've got that degree, or they've worked their way up the ladder, and now they realize that it's not everything it's cracked up to be. But now what do I do? Now where do I go? Do I go and start a business of my own and incur all that risk? You know what? You can get an insurance license. You can take about $500. You can go buy a batch of leads, and you can go to start to turn your family's finances around and nothing flat. That's what people are doing because they understand they can own their own business for a small investment of $500 to $1,000 a week in leads, and they're totally turning around, their family's finances. And that's what you and your wife did, and that's what so many people have done. And yeah, so we're excited about those people. We're excited about the opportunity here at Equus, and we're excited about really making a splash in the insurance industry with Equus Financial and Integrity Marketing.
What I'll say in closing, or maybe that is closing. Yeah, we close it out there. We went through them for over an hour, but I'm glad you could have it on. I think Jamie had some technical difficulties. So it's just, get out there, work. Stop asking a lot of questions. I don't say that to be mean, but it's go book your 20 appointments. Figure it out. Go book your 30, figure it out. It's really that simple. Get out there, see what you can make of it. And, probably won't have a podcast next week. We'll have another one to talk about. So, hope you guys make the most of it this summer. Glad we could have you on. And, have a good Memorial weekend for everybody.